what does wholeness currently look like for you?
Yo, peace.
Okay.
I want peace in life, hey. Like, I want peace, but also, like I said earlier, it's helping people, you know, it's fulfilling your purpose. Whatever your purpose is, your purpose could be different things. My purpose, I think God has finally revealed it to me, is to help people, you know, and being whole is fulfilling that purpose.
So
and
good.
in life in general, just having peace. Like, I just want peace in my life, whether it's in relationships, whether it's at work, whether it's just walking on the street. Don't disturb my peace. That's what I want. That makes me, like, I feel whole, obviously.
'Cause we be on a tough love. Oh, we feeling so high. Don't be afraid of falling, 'cause you know we gon' fly. 'Cause we be on a tough love. Oh, we feeling so high. Don't be afraid.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm your host Kinsani and I bring you faith, education, wisdom and lifestyle content. Please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. And it's 2023 and our first guest is your favorite Atlegang Govuza. I'm going to do a brief intro about Atlegang, and she is currently an associate in the corporate commercial department at one of the top law firms in South Africa. She holds a Bcom Law, an LLB and an LLM in labor law. Atlegang has had an interesting and inspiring journey in law. She has served as a law researcher to Justice Jafta in 2020-2021, served as an associate in Trade Mark Prosecution, and worked as a graduate trainee for an automotive company. I mean, this is impressive. Okay, she plays bass. Is it bass guitar or bass guitar?
Bass.
Or bass. Bass. Okay. Tutors grade 8 math, has a YouTube channel dedicated to love and law, and I know you guys have already watched and subscribed, and has started a tutoring program which she will discuss with us later on. Welcome, Atlegang.
Thank you, Gracie. I was telling her I don't know how to act as a guest. I don't know what to do, but I'm excited, and yeah, I hope this will be a fruitful discussion.
Awesome. We are excited to have you. And the first question is, tell us a bit about yourself, where you were born and raised, and why you studied law.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Pretoria, in a small township, Karanga. Grew up in Pretoria all my life. We moved to Pretoria East during my high school days. And there I discovered my love for crime stories. I really loved, and I still do like crime stories. And that's why I decided to go into law, actually, because I thought I was going to be a criminal law specialist of sorts. In fact, I actually thought law was about crime. That's it. I didn't know there were like different aspects of law. And also my parents used to say to me, yo, you like to argue, you know, just go be an advocate, just be in court. So that sort of sparked the interest in law. And then I applied in my grade 11th year and then got in a Bcom Law program. And the reason why I chose Bcom Law is because my dad wanted me to be an accountant, actually. Okay. And I was just like, I think accounting was a strong point, but it wasn't something that I thought I would enjoy. I did like numbers in high school, and even in varsity when I was doing my Bcom Law. I enjoyed my commerce subjects, save for business, management, and stats. But ultimately, I knew that I wanted to do law. And yeah, I've got 2 siblings, younger than me. I'm the firstborn. My dad's a priest, which makes me a PK, and my mom's a teacher. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting. We shared quite a few things. I also did a Bcom.
Yeah.
And everyone also does, because I want both worlds and I'm not sure which one I'm going to take eventually. And when I got to it, I was like, there's no way I'm not doing law. So I stuck with law. And I just thought the concept of everyone who's studying a law degree must be doing criminal law. That's what we all know.
Yeah.
The first time you meet someone, you're like, I'm a lawyer. They're like, oh, so if I commit a crime,
You
I'm just like,
represent me.
no. No.
Exactly.
So what brings you joy? What excites you?
You know, things that make me happy is people being happy.
Okay.
You know, and for me, like, I just enjoy helping people. Whatever little I can do, that makes me happy. It's like if somebody's life is made better by even me just saying, oh, you look nice. That for me brings me joy. Or, you know, I've got an issue. Can you please help me? How do I navigate through this particular complex issue? And me giving advice and they feeling like, oh, I've got hope. There's a way forward. That like really, really brings me joy. So
good.
I feel like life without a purpose that's bigger than yourself is, I don't know, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's something you've shared also on your channel about your purpose being able to help other people, and our lives being more than that.
Yeah.
And I think you emulate that so much, you know, in the work that you do.
Thank you.
Okay, so when did you secure your articles?
Sure, I studied so long ago. I think it was 2013, and I was doing my third year LLB, but it was my fourth year of studies because I just completed my Bcom Law degree. So I started applying for articles in my third year of LLB. And then I remember there was like a career fair thing at the law faculty at Tux. And then me and my friends were just walking around and we spotted a particular law firm that was quite big in Pretoria. And because I didn't really want to leave Pretoria at that time, it was like probably like the only firm that I applied to. And I actually wasn't even interested in other firms. I think I'd always seen the firm like driving past in Pretoria. So I was like, I want to work there, right? And then when they came, I literally just looked for that firm and went there and inquired about it and applied. And that was it. Like, I didn't really take interest in finding out about other firms, you know, that might be prominent or that might offer what I want. And I think that was one of the mistakes that I made because I was just so boxed in. I want to be in Pretoria. I don't want to leave home. I don't want to leave my comfort zone. So lucky for me, the one place that I did apply to did accept me. I do recall though, at some point I was a little bit anxious whether or not I'd get the job. So I did apply to like 2 other top firms. Okay. And the one rejected me, but the other one came back and said I must provide them with certain documentation, and I missed because I had already secured the job. So it's like, whatever, it doesn't matter anymore because I got the job that I want to. Again, mistake that I made, you know, because I was like boxed. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of being anxious about not getting into the specific firm that you had applied to, my question then is about what do you think made you stand out from your peers at the time when you applied?
Yeah, okay, so I mean, I must be honest, right? I wasn't an A student at school. I've never been an A student, actually. I was quite an average student. But I must say, I think it's because I have a very difficult time concentrating on material for an extensive period, right? So I just found ways in which I could study the material that I needed to in the time that I could study it without getting distracted. And that gave me sufficient marks for me to at least be, okay, they're okay. I do have a couple of distinctions, but I wasn't an A student. Okay. But I think what helped me was doing extra activities at school. So in varsity, I was part of the SRC. Okay. In my third year Bcom Law, I was part of the SRC. And I also had a part-time job from my first year of varsity. And that part-time job was, it wasn't distracting me from my studies, but it also demonstrated that, okay, besides academics, besides SRC, you know, I could really balance my life with all the things that were going around. And I think that's what employers look for. They don't look for people who are just purely academic, but people who they think when they get into the space, they'll be able to navigate, they'll have sort of like a balance, because I think people who just focus on books, when they hit employment or when they start working, like the environment for them becomes a bit more challenging because it's not really just about the work, but it's about how do you relate with people, how do you manage your time, how do you navigate yourself in spaces where, you know, there's different things going on, there are different people that you're in. Like, if you don't know how to be in those spaces, I think it might be a red flag for employers. So I think that's some of the things that might have been like a plus on my CV.
Yeah, I think those are great tips, and I think it's encouraging to students who are thinking, no, I'm not an A student, you know, but I'm doing very well and I'm putting in the effort, because I mean, we gifted differently. You know, you might be very good at studying material, but at not leading, for example. So I think it's very good advice, and I hope our YouTubers, our viewers, actually take into account the tips that you gave them.
Yeah.
And then after you finished your articles, you were offered an associate position, right? At the same firm that you worked at.
Yes.
And that was in Trade Mark Prosecution.
Yes.
Okay. And then what are the 3 things that you think during the period, during your articles, prepared you to be a good attorney?
During my articles?
Yes. So the tips that you got throughout your training.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think number 1 is one has to be able to take criticism.
Sure.
Constructive, obviously, but you must be able to take criticism, because things are not always going to be a walk in the park, right? And people are going to say things to you that you probably won't understand. But you have to be able to receive it, even if it's not constructive. Sometimes you must be able to receive it constructively, because it's going to help you identify the places that you need to work on, and only then can you implement it and try to do better tomorrow, you know, and be a better attorney in the future. So 1 is being able to take criticism. 2 is just do the work. And I think it's because a lot of people as CAs or CLPs, you'll be given mundane work. They'll be like, print this or deliver this at the court or whatever. And we all feel like, no, but this is not the substantive stuff. But your time will come. And I think it's just building good habits and being able to follow through or execute instructions that you've been given, so that tomorrow when the responsibility becomes bigger, you know, you've already exercised this muscle, let's put it that way, of being able to just do the work. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the 3rd thing I would say is relying on other people. It's difficult to get through a day at work alone.
Yes, true.
You need your colleagues to assist you here and there. I mean, at some point you're going to rely less and less on them, but people know something that you don't. You must be comfortable being asking other people for help. They will come to you for help as well.
True.
In that sort of circle that you create, you're learning, you are developing, you're becoming better. So rely on other people.
Love them. I love them all. The one about being faithful in the little things, you know, the Bible comes in and speaks about with greater responsibility comes with greater something comes greater responsibility, and community is always essential. You know something, somebody else knows something better, you know. So and that's what teamwork looks like eventually to run a firm. Yeah. So after being an associate, you left. Yes. And you went to corporate legal.
I left many times.
You went to corporate legal, and you've spoken in your channel about how different the cultures are, and I wanted to know for you how were you able to navigate both spaces gracefully, or in a way that allowed you to again learn and not be closed up to a process of learning?
Yeah, I think moving from practice to corporate is easier. Moving from corporate to practice might be a little bit more difficult. I think a person who moves from corporate to practice will have a more challenging time navigating and adapting to that environment, because, you know, I think it's better if you start here like it's bad, and then you're like, okay, it's not too bad, as opposed to where things are like more like easy and stuff. Because the truth of the matter is, corporate environments, they take pride in their culture and creating an environment where the employees feel comfortable and everybody's happy. Like, they actually put in the effort in making sure that their environment suits everybody, and the culture, they've got a set culture and whatever. Whereas practice is like, we're here to please the client. Please forget about other things.
True.
Okay? We're trying to make money, and that's it. Not to say that they neglect the culture or the environment, or they don't want it to be conducive so that you do well. It's just that it's very cutthroat, and, first things first is that the firm is trying to make money, and that means we need to please the client. And if the client says do this, then you must do it. And people just sort of adapt to those demands. Do you understand? So I think for me, navigating in corporate legal was quite easy, because I came from an environment that was very cutthroat, do this, don't do this, to an environment that was like, oh, here we respect each other. Oh, here we listen. Like, you understand? Like, it was like, okay, this is nice. So it wasn't at all difficult for me. And I do want to say, disclaimer, that I think it depends on the corporate company or firm that you work in, because different firms obviously have their own cultures and environments. But I think getting into it, just know that whatever you get into, you're going to have to find a way to adapt. And I think the easiest way is to find people that are similar to you, or to your beliefs, or what you are aligned to, because especially people who are there, they're the ones who are going to be like, oh, don't worry, this is happening, but this is normal. Again, it's a community thing. People, they are always going to help you through it. Never close yourself up, because then you only think about what's in your mind, and nobody ever gives you a different perspective. So, like, just open yourself up to other people, because those people, especially people who've been there, will be able to help you and navigate through it.
Okay. So I'm going to assume that you left corporate because you love intensity. You like an intense workplace, and you like pressure. You like working under pressure.
Wow.
Because why then would you leave a community that's just like, here we respect each other, and our main thing is not to please clients and getting the bills done, but it's you happy employees, that kind of environment.
I left because it was too early to leave practice.
Okay.
Not because not because I like the cutthroatness of practice, but because it was too early. I hadn't gained enough skill. I hadn't developed to the extent that I needed to develop for me to be like, okay, sure, now that I'm in corporate, this is how I'm going to contribute. I got there and was like, I can only contribute on what I know from a trademark prosecution perspective, and that's it. Yeah. And corporate wasn't about trademarks at that point. It was like, oh, we do contracts, we do product liabilities, we do all these other things. And I was just like, I don't know how to contribute.
So good.
It's like, I'm here and I have to learn again.
So good.
And it's fine to learn, but I felt like, but shouldn't I be contributing? That's like, you came here thinking you were going to contribute, but quite honestly, that environment is not conducive for that. Second of all, you're not absorbing what you should, because there's not so much to absorb. So I was just like, okay, it was too early to leave practice, so I gotta go back.
That's so good, because our discussion all the time is, what do you do once you finish your articles? When is it the right time to leave and go into corporate legal? Yeah. But I like the fact that you say that it was too early. You hadn't gained the skills that you needed to contribute into that space. Yeah. And like you said, you don't just work with the area of specialty that like, okay, you were busy with contracts during your articles. Yeah. Now there's labor issues that come in. You must know how to deal with that dispute, for example. And I think you mentioned something about once the matter gets quite intense, then you sort of outsource it to the legal practitioners. Exactly. And I mean, for a young person, you still have that excitement to see a matter to finality, and you're missing out on that experience.
Yes, exactly.
So good. That's really great advice. Exactly. And then, guys, Atlegang has been like, in her 8 years of in her 8-year career in law, guys, she has done amazing. She has served at the Concourse as well. Like, if you followed properly through this video, you'll see that I've mentioned how many roles? 3 roles already. From candidate attorney to associate to corporate legal, and now we're going into And then you went back to practice as
Yes.
well. And then now it's Concourse.
Yes.
Sure. And then was that something you always had a design?
Always. I remember in my second year at varsity, I did constitutional law as a module, and the first thing they said, or one of the lecturers said, guys, do know you guys can clock at the Concourse? And I was like, what is this? Like, what is this thing? Like, I didn't know what it was, right? So I did my research, and then there's a person that I knew from like childhood who was clocking at the court at the time, and I followed his journey like that whole year. I was just like, oh, this looks so cool. I want to be part of it. And I also enjoyed constitutional law as a module. Like, it was like one of my favorite modules that everything public law, quite honestly, in varsity, I enjoyed. So at a point when I was doing my articles, I remember saying, I mustn't forget that there's the Concourse. I mustn't forget that there's this clerkship program that I want to do. And I remember there's a friend of mine that I was doing articles with. She was like, I'm applying. And I forgot. Like, I literally forgot to apply. And the deadline came and it passed and she had applied. And I was just like, oh my God, I missed the deadline. But I was like, it's fine. I'll try again the following year. And the following year came. That's when I went to Toyota. And I didn't apply again, you know. Like, I kept procrastinating this thing. And I think when I was in corporate, when I realized that, okay, sure, I feel that I haven't gained what I need to gain. I want to go back to practice, but I also want to go to the Concourse. So I was just like, at that point, it was just like, let me just apply. Like, there's nothing standing in my way. Let me just apply. And I applied, and yeah, getting into Concourse was just like, I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Sure. How was the experience?
It was amazing.
Amazing.
It was
sure.
amazing.
Can only imagine.
It was amazing. Like, I
can only imagine.
But I must say, like, I mean, I'm sure people watch this and be like, I've heard different stories. People's experiences at the Concourse are not the same. Of course, because it depends on who you work for. Because your time at the Concourse is predominantly spent with the judge that you do the work for, who you do the research for. And if that sort of environment isn't the greatest, you're probably not going to have the best experience. But still, I still think that even if, you know, the person that you work for is not the most easiest person to work for, there's still a lot to gain from
yes,
this, you know. And to the extent that you can stay and absorb whatever and gain whatever skill, you should like try stay there and gain that knowledge. Other people left. I mean, in my time when I was at the Concourse, there were some people who left without finishing their year because they couldn't stand the environment that they were in. For me, I was just like felt very blessed to be, you know, allocated to Justice Jafta and the fact that, I don't know, like, I must just say this, né? My whole legal career, every single person that I've worked for has been invested in training and development, has been invested in being like, I want this person to be the best practitioner, I want this person to be the best lawyer. And so I've always felt like I'm working with people who have an interest in seeing the next generation being better than what they are. And I personally so blessed to have worked with people who were like that. Yeah.
Sure. Interesting. I remember at school we always thought, oh, Justice Jafta is always the one with the dissenting judgments.
Yes. Yes.
So you were one of the people contributing to those judgments.
Yes.
Just like, oh my gosh, it's always Justice Jafta. And maybe Oregon. Yes, I think she also had like dissenting judgments. You're just like, oh my gosh, now we have to read extra because, you know.
Yeah.
Like, would you recommend to young lawyers to explore different fields or specialize too early or gain skills in a specific area before they actually explore different working environments?
This is a hard question.
Yeah. It depends, ne?
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends.
Depends on the person. Maybe.
It depends on the person. Yeah. I personally see like where I might have erred in my career in the early stages. As much as, and I remember the guy that I was reporting to when I was doing Trade Mark Prosecution, he actually said this when I resigned. He was like, I'm happy for you that you've got this new opportunity, etc., etc., right? But he's like, at some point, you're going to have to decide what it is that you want to do.
Sure.
And then you're going to sit down and you have to practice in that area for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And I remember being like, okay, yeah, I hear what you're saying. But no, I don't want to do this. I'm out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to do something else. But he was right. I mean, and I only realized it later. At the end of the day, you're going to go jumping from here to this, whatever, because you want to find what it is. At some point, you're going to have to sit down and do one thing anyway, you know? Yes. The question is, do you do it early? Do you do it later? Yes. But you're going to have to do it anyway. So that's why I say it depends. Like, do you, like, why are you doing what you're doing? I think that's the question that you need to ask. There are people like me who really just wanted to find an area of law where they contribute, or like an area of law where they feel like they're fulfilling a purpose, you know? And for me, then it felt like if I was sitting in trademark prosecution or trademark litigation, at the end of the day, even if I gain the skill and become an expert at an early stage, I'm not going to be happy. Like, I'm going to be miserable, you know? But there are other people who are like, you know what, the sooner I get this experience, the sooner I know what it is that I'm doing, the sooner I go up the corporate ladder, the sooner life will be better and I'm happy. And so it doesn't really matter what area you're specializing in. If you're doing corporate, commercial, you're happy. If you're doing environmental law, you're happy. So it really depends what it is that you want to do. I don't say stay in one space if it's going to make you miserable, but I say stay in one space if you really just want to get a particular skill in one area of law and you want to accelerate how quickly you get to the top. So it depends on really what it is that my peers are directors. You know, like my peers are directors, and I'm comfortable with knowing that, okay, I took this whole detour in my legal career and still I'm happy. I'm fine with where I am. I feel like I have lost nothing. Somebody else would be like, Jesus, I should have stayed. Do you know what I mean? So it really depends on what it is that you want.
And I really believe at the end, all things work together for our good. I mean, we delay ourselves by not having faith or being not listening to truth or not following our intuition or not trusting God. But eventually, you know, it all comes around to the center, to where it started, or to where your truest desire lies. How did you said something on your channel about being a habitual applicant for jobs, and I'm like, I'm also like that. Like, I'm always looking for opportunities. I'm like, gosh, I've been here for like quite some time, you know, so I'm always just looking. Even if it doesn't fit me, I'm just like, sounds interesting. How did you handle some rejections? Because I know with applying for work, there's rejections, and with prospective candidate attorneys, they're getting their rejection letters. Some of them are getting those rejection letters. How did you handle rejection?
Sure. I think my mind was, well, first of all, I must acknowledge that I was applying from a place of comfort, in the sense that I already have a job. So it doesn't really, for me, it was like, I just want a new opportunity, maybe that pays more, or maybe that I think I might enjoy. But it wasn't necessarily a thing of desperation that if I don't get this, you know, life is going to be terrible. So I must acknowledge the place that I was in, the place of comfort or privilege, whatever you want to call it, and say it won't be the same for somebody else who is desperately looking for a job and needs the job, just first of all to make sure that their finances are fine or that they can contribute at home or whatever. But on the handling of rejection, I think, and I've seen this with people that I'm close to who've been in a position where they really just need a job. You know, it doesn't matter what job it is. They really, I think it's a thing of knowing that, and if you're a Christian, it might land better, that if it's not for you, then God is going to let it pass. But a no doesn't mean no. It means there's something else that's coming. You know what I mean? And it's really difficult to keep that in mind when all you want is a job.
It is.
It's not easy. It's not, right? So, but it's a thing of, continue to have hope, continue to have faith that something tomorrow will come up. It's not easy, though. I can say that, especially in this country where there's like
true.
the rate of unemployment is so high, and now people are being discouraged from studying an LLB in the first place because there's no opportunities that are available. The opportunities that are there, they are not the greatest opportunities.
True.
So I acknowledge that it's not easy, but I think one just has to believe in tomorrow. Like, you just have to hope for the best for tomorrow. I'd really, besides that, like, what do you have if you don't have hope?
What else? True, nothing.
Like, what do you have if you don't have
nothing.
hope,
Yeah, I think I read something that said hope is better than having a crushed spirit.
Yeah.
A crushed spirit being in a place of depression or having a spirit of heaviness. And I think that just speaks into how you always have to pour truth to yourself.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to get out of dark thoughts or whatever is always pouring in light or things that speak and speak life into you.
Yes.
That's why I say you guys must read. Hey, like, if you're not doing anything, just get like a good book that speaks into your being.
Yeah.
Awesome. I wanted us to get into your mentorship program, and you will put down the link as well, and the Instagram page and all the other details that are necessary. But I wanted to find out who can get into the program, what can they expect to gain, and what are you looking for?
Okay. So I started this program because I was getting a lot of questions about, the legal career, what path to follow, how to apply, all these questions that are related to students. And it was overwhelming. Like, there was just too many people asking the same question. And I was like, okay, there's clearly a need for guidance in this particular space. So I started the mentorship program to focus on 3rd and 4th year law students, LLB students, because they are like reaching the final stages of their studies. And at that, when they finish, obviously they need to secure jobs or start working and putting whatever degree they've gotten into practice. And I felt, I don't want people to feel hopeless and feel like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I also don't want people to be at a stage where they're applying too late.
Yes.
Or they, getting the information too late when they should have gotten it much earlier, so that they can sort of find themselves at the right space at the end of their degrees. So it's focused on 3rd and 4th years. Not to exclude 1st and 2nd, but I think they still got time,
Yes,
it's a 4-year degree, so they still have time. And like I said, it's just to put you in the right place at the end of your degree to either get into the workspace, to get a job, navigate through the application processes, get the right training before you finish your degree, get the right mentorship from people who've been in your position, people who know what they're looking for from people like you, just give you a heads up, basically.
Okay.
And I'm just really looking for people who don't know what to do.
Okay.
Like, that's it. Like, sometimes, like, I'm looking for A students, people. I'm even likely to say no to A students, to be honest. Not because that they don't deserve a chance, but they, on paper, the next person is going to be like, oh, this person has A's,
Yes.
But a person who has 50s, nobody really focuses on a person with 50s. Nobody focuses on a person who's not doing well. Nobody focuses on people who are studying in private institutions. Nobody,
True.
Everyone is looking at the cliche, you do well, you go to WITS, you go to UCT, and I feel like you're better placed. And I'm trying to help those people who are not as better placed as those people. Not to say that I crush those. I'm really, my DMs are open. If anyone wants to ask me something, please come through. But I want to spend like time with those people who need that extra push.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of the mentorship program.
Thank you so much for that space. Hey, thank you so much for that space. Finally, what does wholeness currently look like for you?
Peace.
Okay.
I want peace in life, hey. Like, I want peace, but also, like I said earlier, it's helping people, it's fulfilling your purpose. Whatever your purpose is, your purpose could be different things. My purpose, I think God has finally revealed it to me, is to help people, and being whole is fulfilling that purpose.
So
And
good.
in life in general, just having peace. Like, I just want peace in my life, whether it's in relationships, whether it's at work, whether it's just walking on the street. Don't disturb my peace. That's what I want.
Okay.
That makes me, like, I feel whole, obviously. And also God, guys, like, life without God is a zero.
Yeah.
It's empty.
Is zero.
It's a zero. It's a zero. So yeah.
Awesome. Shame. We love having you here.
Thank you
so much.
Kenzie.
You must come again. She must come again. Yeah? Like, she must come again. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. This video was just about Atlegang, and she shares her journey navigating through the different spaces of her career, different working environments, different roles. And I think she has dropped a lot of guidance and tips and wisdom that I think if you take this with you, you'd be great. Her mentorship program is open, and we're going to put down the link. Her DMs are open if you need help, and she's open to assist everyone. She's impartial. Is that the word that we use in law? She's impartial, yes. But I love her answer about being whole, which is fulfilling the purpose that God has given you and living in peace. Thank you, guys, and goodbye.
Bye.